Good morning.
Hello,
Good
everybody.
morning. Good morning. Everybody's just so good. They just put themselves on mute, and it's quite fun. People know how to do it.
Finland.
Hey, Carla.
Hello, hello. Yeah, and I think I'll just start the live stream also. People can say hi for a while here.
Mm.
Hello from Minnesota.
Hello, hello.
Hello from Ontario, Canada.
Hello from Liverpool, England.
Hello from Austin, Texas.
Hello from El Paso, Texas.
Hello from Essex.
Hello from Mexico.
Hello from Austria.
Hello from Canada.
Hello from Oregon.
Hello from Prague, Czech Republic.
Hello from Dallas, Texas.
Hello from Beaumont, Texas.
Hello from Puerto Rico.
Hello from New Holland, Europe.
Hello from Israel.
Hey.
Now this is getting fun. How many?
Hello from Suffolk.
Keep her coming. Keep her coming. We still got another minute here. Tell us where you're calling in from.
Hello from Minnesota.
You got it.
Hello from Finland.
From Germany.
From the UK.
Part of Oklahoma.
Loving it.
Hi from Canada.
Hi from Cyprus.
Hey from Arizona.
Hello from
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Hello from Minnesota.
Hello, hello.
Hi from California.
Hey, California.
Hello from South Africa.
Welcome, welcome.
Hello from Ireland.
Excited.
Hello from
And
Sweden.
Denmark is in the house.
Oh, Denmark too.
Yeah, yeah.
How fun is this? Okay, well, it is time. So we are going to be getting started here. And I do need to mute everybody because it otherwise comes in quite a background noise. So we're going to just put everybody on mute here. And I'm super excited for today as we are going to get started talking about a topic I think that absolutely everybody uh, wants to know more about. And that is about being your best you. Being your best you from the inside out, that anti-aging effect. What can you do? Can you do actually anything? Or what does the science tell us about that? And we're going to talk a little bit about anti-aging. We're going to talk about health, but we're going to talk about it from a different angle. We're going to talk about it from what the science is telling us is the right thing to do to make sure that we are living our best lives and that we're doing everything we can to create the body that's working optimally and that's looking its best. Now, the speaker I have on today is one of my favorite guys, and the reason is not only does he just have such a simple way of saying things and explaining it to us, but he actually is kind of that fantastic mix because he has that background where he has been a personal trainer. He has been actually training people for the Olympics. That's the level of what he does. And yet he's also a scientist. And how he found his way, we are so blessed to have him as a scientific advisor here in Zinzino. And we're just going to grab all the knowledge we can get out of him to explain to us down on a level that we all can understand to have our best bodies, our best life. So let's welcome him on here, our absolutely fantastic Dr. Colin Robertson. Hey, Dr. Colin.
Hello, Carla. Good morning, which is
late afternoon, well, early evening here in the UK. It was interesting to hear where people are zooming in from. Some of them are probably literally only a few miles away from where I am. And obviously others are from the other side of the planet. So hello, everyone.
I
It's
heard the
nice to
same
be
thing. I heard
here.
somebody else from Wisconsin here, and I'm close to Minnesota, so all over the world. But Dr. Colin, this is a topic I think it's a multi-billion dollar industry because people want to know what is it that helps um, keep you healthy. We just went through all kinds of stuff where we talked about health for years, and now we want to know what is it that keeps us healthy. What can we do from the inside out, or can we do something from the outside in? And I know it kind of ties together because healthy cells mean healthy body. And if you want a healthy body, you just need to make sure you're down at that cellular level. So, what is it people really need to know here and now about general, what they can do about health?
Well, I mean, we could start anywhere, Carla, couldn't we? But as you're saying that, I'm immediately thinking that for a lot of people, probably not the people on this call, because this is one of those instances whereby you're all obviously quite health centric. You're interested in health, and so you're keen to listen to, well, what can you do next? What could be improved? What could be enhanced? But remember, and I said this on stage 2 weeks ago in Slovakia, and I'm going to say it now, you're not normal. None of you are normal. Normal out there is not you. Everyone out there is not thinking this way. I wish they were, or maybe you don't, because I wouldn't have a job. But the average person doesn't have the appetite you have for health and living well. And so really the easy answer would be to say all the things everyone knows they should do is what they should be doing. But that's not helpful. That doesn't help anyone. And you've taken it already from a cellular point of view. And sorry, I've been distracted because my computer has just asked me to confirm that I'm Spanish, which I promise you I'm not. It must be the glow on the skin. I'll take that as a compliment. It's all those things from the cell and all the way through. So let's start with the cell. But when I say let's start with the cell, let's start with the food we eat and how that shapes the cell. Because anyone who's listened to me, and I didn't come up with this term, I wish I did,
But I
will have
think
heard me
that's a
say
good
though.
place to start too, because I think even whether you're interested in health or not, people do understand that it's what you're putting in your mouth that's affecting your body. I think that's obvious. So, but there's a lot
That's
of
not.
things out there that say different
I,
things.
dis-
This is good for you, or this is good for
I
you.
disagree, Carla. I wish it was obvious. I wish what you just said was true, but it's not. And again, this comes down to the fact that you people here are not normal because you think about these things. Um, but there's a logic to it if you stop and think. And yes, you are what you eat, and what you put into the system becomes the system. So when we say you are what you eat, and this is to address the cellular point, you're literally made of the things you eat. So the easiest way to explain this, because most people get this, is when you talk about muscle and then protein in the diet. And people go, okay, so muscle's made of protein, and that protein gets broken down, and I eat protein and it replaces it. Think of that in every single way across your entire body. You are literally what you eat. And then you can say, okay, then so if I literally am the food choices I make, that is the starting point for how well I'm going to live. And this theme is kind of, from what I can detect, anti-aging, which I don't like the term, but the reason why I accept the term is because we're surrounded by a world who they passively volunteer to age too early because they don't realize that this choice you make, and let's go right to a key component. Let's talk about two key components. Let's consider omega-3 and collagen. And that should be no surprise to anyone here that I would mention those two. But if you think of those two, these are literally the building blocks of life. We're talking about the very thing we're made of. And I always describe collagen as the glue that keeps the whole system together. But how many people really have switched on to this notion that, you know what, you have to make sure you have a sufficient amount of omega-3 in your diet? It's not only anti-inflammatory, it's prebiotic. It feeds the gut, so it's active within the gut space. The gut is the center of the human universe. It enables better absorption. 60% of the brain is fat. 25% of that should be DHA, which is an omega-3. So it's fundamental in the substance. And then collagen. The minute we reach 21, our collagen amounts depreciate. And we lose that on a rate of 1 to 2% per year. And it accumulates, and actually it speeds up when we get to certain points. So knowing this is go, okay, if I want to be anti-aging, then I'm going to make sure that I have a sufficient amount of what life and lifestyles will take away. And everyone here now, I promise you now, if you want the simplest message in the world, and this is the simplest message I can give you when it comes to anti-aging, make sure you have a sufficient amount of omega-3. Make sure you have a sufficient amount of collagen, types 1 and 3. We're going to talk about the glue that holds things together. And be physically active every single day. And, sorry, there's a fourth point. Drink plenty of water. There's more to it than that, and we've got more time to discuss more to it. But they're the most common sense, simple pillars of anti-aging. And every single one of those things I've just said is not only informed by science, it's where the consensus in science currently is, which is like, yes. That's why, Carla, this has turned into a TED Talk, but bear with me for a moment. That's why I find it fascinating when, to this day, people will say, some doctor says it. They say, why don't I know about this? Omega-3, yeah. But, what about? And it's like, hold on. First of all, I don't know why you don't know. I say that a lot. But secondly, it is upon you to be informed. It's not good enough anymore in the age of information to say, why don't I know? Or as far as I know. That's not good enough. If you're going to comment, you need to have a level of information. You should be informed. And there are consensus statements around omega-3, its impact, and its efficacy when it comes to all factors of health. There is consensus around collagen and with regards to its diminishing rate and how we need to look at strategies to counteract that. There is consensus around levels of physical activity, and there is consensus around hydration. If you're going to sit back and go, I don't know, I'm not so sure, I think this, then you should say nothing. Say nothing, because all the evidence is already there for everybody to make use of.
Okay, so let's
That's
use
the end of
them.
my TED Talk.
No, I like it. We like it. We're pulling it all in. We're going to put it all up here. Now, let's go through each of them. So, omega-3. A lot of people have been taking omega-3. You can get it everywhere. And I know that was a topic you have really dived into. That was what you were studying when you met Zinzino. So, can you tell us a little bit about how it ended up that when you were searching about omega-3, how you ended up saying, okay, this is where I want to follow, I want to work with this because they are doing something right. What is it that Zinzino's doing and why?
Sorry, my signal, I think it must be my signal. I do apologize, but my signal seems to be going in and out, and I'm shutting down Windows as I speak. So just give me 1 second.
That's okay.
Because I lost that. Carla, if you can repeat the last part of that question.
That's what
Kind of went in
happens
and
when
out.
we're going live. We do live things. We got that. Okay. So you were studying omega-3, also with the importance of it. And you you found a way that you said, okay, this Zinzino company, that's how you ended up working with Zinzino because of the omega-3. So what is it that you were studying and why? And why did you turn over to Zinzino that it actually kind of got your attention too? Because we want to talk about what the difference is of these omega-3s. There's a lot of omega-3s out there, and we want to find out what's the best and why.
Well, the thing with Zinzino is it wasn't the clever part was that it wasn't just omega-3. And so just to clarify,
well, he just said that things were going and his internet was going to be a little bit crazy.
Our investigations into omega-3 and sometimes can't just produce it on it. Yeah. And then is my signal working? Am I dropping in and out?
Yep, you kind of dropped out again, but that's okay. We're going to pull you back in. Why don't we start again in regards to your research in regards to omega-3?
Let me see if I can turn something else off to enable this to work better. There we go. I'm trying to make sure that no other window is open. I don't really know. I'm even right next to where the Wi-Fi is. But so the reason why we were investigating omega-3 is it should be simple. We know it's an essential fatty acid. We know that the body can't produce enough or any in a lot of instances, depending on the type of omega. And we also know that it is so highly correlated with the reduction of risk of development of non-communicable disease. Also, from my background in sports performance, we know that if you have a sufficient amount of omega-3, then you get reduced muscle soreness, you get increased anabolic response from the muscle, you get increased cognitive function, reaction time, and you get increased oxygen kinetics, so like the whole respiratory system. And this is all because of control of inflammation, recovery rates, really well-established, documented things. The problem is that we can't get people to a sufficient level. And the challenge we had at the time was that dietary recommendations say that people should eat good sources of fatty fish 3 to 4 times per week. That's naive. And I know, and there might be people here, I know these are published guidelines. It's naive. You show me the real evidence that supports that statement. One, it's got to be fresh, wild, line caught, high quality nutrient fish. Then it goes into how it's prepared, how it's cooked, the transit time. There's so many things around this that can't be controlled. And we know that in some areas, people have a sufficient amount based off diet alone. And when that's true, they consume more than 3 to 4 times a week. And so dietary guidelines are really unachievable for most people. And then secondly, if you look at how the westernized diet has evolved, people just don't favor those fish anymore. They don't like them. They cost a lot of money. They don't like the flavor of them. Most people, they might like a bit of salmon once in a while, but most people aren't eating on a daily, weekly basis anchovies, mackerel, bluefin tuna. It just doesn't happen. So we had this problem. And then we had this problem that the average supplement didn't work. So this is where we get to, okay, so what makes Zinzino so special? And I have to say to people all the time, even now after nearly 4.5 years, BalanceOil is not a omega-3 supplement. BalanceOil is BalanceOil. It is a high phytonutrient polyphenol product that contains a specific ratio of omega-3, which is that EPA and DHA. And why does it work? Because you have a synergy. So you have two elements that are both working towards the same outcome. There is not a doctor in the world that doesn't recommend their patients to take a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil every day, because we know its profound anti-inflammatory properties. We know the benefits it has on the gut, high phytonutrient. And so we know, and it leads to something else, which I'll come back to in a moment, which concerns what we call methylation. And so we know olive oil, again, consensus, fantastic. Manages inflammation, reduces inflammation, tons of phytonutrients, antioxidant, feeds the gut, incredible. And then what we have is in BalanceOil is, well, it encapsulates the omega-3. Standard fish oil, doesn't matter how good the fish is, it's really vulnerable. It oxidates really quickly. It's sensitive to heat. When we consume it, the stomach, the acid of the stomach destroys a lot of it. What little is left gets to the gut, and this is used as a prebiotic. So what functions at a cellular level is negligible. And so people take more and more and more. And we did that. So 20 years ago, I was working with 3 Premiership football teams. And because of the benefits we knew could be achieved through omega-3, we were trying to get them above 8%. And we were trying to get their cellular ratio down to less than 3 to 1. And we used the most expensive, the most premium, what was meant to be the best of the best fish oil with every promise, virgin fish from the purest seas with the lowest, ToToX, don't even get me started on that, but the lowest ToToX levels in the world, nothing. And we would increase total amount, and all that would happen is that the football players would get gut issues and hate taking it. We couldn't get the needle to budge. And so fast forward a lot of years, and there's been a publication that says it's estimated that 6.3 billion people in the world are dealing with an omega-3 deficiency. And this has an impact because it correlates to risk of development of non-communicable diseases, as well as a whole host of other things with regards to inflammatory markers, systemic disorders, metabolic function. And so I was a research coordinator, and we were looking at this. How do you fix it? I've already said the problem. People don't eat fish. They can't afford it. You'd have to eat so much of it. You can't guarantee the quality of it. And standard supplements don't work. And then out of the blue, in fact, I was just with this person yesterday. A good friend of mine calls up and says, been recommended to take this omega-3. Have you heard of Zinzino? What do you think? And originally, I was very skeptical. I said, if it's a supplement, it won't work. None of them do, but I'll take a look. But in reality, Carla, and I've told this story so many times now, this won't be a surprise. The moment I saw the product and I saw what they'd done with regards to this synergy between the olive oil and the fish, immediately I thought, wow, this is exciting. This is different. And then I thought, okay, we've kind of stumbled on this rare find. Is anyone else doing it? And so before I even knew the name of a person at Zinzino, I did what you call a competitor analysis. So you go, right, this is the magic ticket. This makes complete sense. Who else is doing this? And I took a look, and I'm not going to mention any names, but I compared it to people who would say that they were doing something similar. And they all missed vital steps. They all, and even the language they used was just wrong. It was misleading. One of them was saying, oh, the polyphenol doesn't matter. We just do that as a way to, have an agent to catch. No, the polyphenol really matters. The quality of the polyphenol really matters. The phytonutrient content of the extra virgin olive oil really, really matters. You can't dismiss that. And so it was really interesting to see how people had imitated it, but they'd done so cheaply. And they tried to create a language to explain that it was better. And so I then was drawn towards the test because the Trondheim test, which is the fatty acid profile test, is well established in science. And I saw that they were implementing an advanced version of that they had Professor Angela Marie Rizzo on the advisory board, that they were using VITAS, who were one of the world's most recognized independent dry blood spot sampling laboratories there is. And I thought, wow, this is game changing. And so to your question, so why did I jump on board? As a researcher, as a scientist, and as a practitioner, when I'm working with athletes or individuals, my goal is always to have an impact and make a difference. And I still research now, I still publish research now, but that is the slow road. And sadly, it takes a long time to reach anyone. And what I saw with Zinzino was this opportunity to do this, have direct conversations, inform people who were interested, and actually put something in the hand that says this will transform a huge part of your dietary health status. And all you've got to do is take this every day. That's all you need to do. It's really, really simple, because people are formed by their habits. And then where do you draw out from there? Why is it so important, Colin? Well, I've given you tons of reasons why, but then you've got to think of all those 37 trillion cells that you're made of, and the ratio, the homeostasis, the balance of that cell, its membrane, and the partnership it has with omega-6, which is the pro-inflammatory, which is also essential. And in life, in nature, in biology, too much of one thing is never a good thing. I joke about it, but I say it all the time. Water is essential, but too much and you'll drown. When it comes to omega-6 is essential, but people have too much, and they have distinctly too little omega-3. And when you get that right, that ratio that we talk about, this 3-to-1, which always makes me laugh when people go, oh, I don't know enough about the ratio. Well, read. There's lots of books and research out there. When this is right, when this is pivoted at the right position, what do you get? You get a really nice, dynamic, malleable cell. And remember, the version of you tomorrow is a copy of you today. Cells divide and replicate. And so when you invest in your cell, you literally are writing the new version of you. So when you optimize the quality and the health of the cell, eventually when that cell has spent its life, it will split, it will divide, and it will multiply, and you'll get a good copy of something good. Whereas if you smoke and you drink too much alcohol and you eat rubbish food, then guess what? You get multiple copies of something poor. But when it comes to something like omega-3, we're managing with this membrane, the nutrients going in, the waste product coming out, the health, the vibrancy of the cell. And so health really does start at a cellular level. And I've seen someone who has asked for me to focus on ToToX. ToToX will be a whole talk in itself. What I will say is that there's a lot of people who, because they don't really have anything to offer you, what they're doing is and it's, I won't mention people. Oh my Lord. I'd love to, but I won't. Because what they have is really poor quality. They go, what's good that we can say about this? And so they go, oh, our ToToX level is lower than yours. And ToToX relates to total oxidation. And yours is high. And you go, if you compare BalanceOil to just fish oil, our ToToX will be higher. And that's a good thing. And I'll tell you why in a moment. And if you compare BalanceOil to someone who has copied ours, so they've blended their fish oil with olive oil, and their ToToX is lower than ours, that's even better. Because the reason why our ToToX is higher is because of the polyphenol. And those polyphenols, what we're seeing in that higher ToToX is that those polyphenols are vibrant and they are alive. And what we're seeing is when you measure ToToX as BalanceOil rather than the separate components, what you are seeing is a live, thriving phytonutrient culture of a product that is going to be antioxidative, mop up those free radicals. It's going to bring about a chorus of cellular activity within the gut. It's vibrant. It's exactly how it should be. But because people, where confidence whispers, ignorance shouts. And because people don't know, they'll go, oh, our ToToX is lower, which is like saying your product is better than ours. But they tell it to people who don't understand it. And so they preach a bad message. If there's one thing you won't take from tonight, our ToToX levels tells you just how vibrant our product is. And I'm so proud of that.
I love that. Okay, so as I'm understanding this, when we want our healthy cells and we're eating that, we know what fish we should be doing. We should be eating a lot of fish, but there's a difference. And I've heard this statement so many times. There's a difference between fish oil and oily fish. So we are not the supplement that you're just supplementing because that isn't really working. And as you said, the studies you have been doing and trying to get through was not working. But our balance oil, the Zinzino balance oil, the reason that is different than anything else is because that works like fish. That's more of a oily fish than it is a fish oil. That's a big, huge change.
It has what I'd call like food-like functionality. But dare I be so bold as to say, in fact, yes, I definitely will. I've never said this publicly before. I've said it in debates with other researchers, but I've never said this publicly before. But tragically, BalanceOil is now better than fish. And isn't that an awful claim to make? But it's true. There are so many inconsistent. I want you all to eat fresh fish, for sure. I want you to have a really rich, varied diet made up of whole foods. Food is a part of the joy of life. Make really good whole food choices, 100%. But we've got a whole ecological sustainability issue to address. We're in a very different place in history. And the difference is that, were you to consume, let's say you were to go with the guidelines and you ate really good quality fatty fish 4 times a week for the next 4 months. I'm not convinced you would move your total level above 8% or reduce your ratio to less than 4 to 1, 3 to 1. So what I do know is through our observations of nearly 1.3 million analyzed tests now, is that over 97% of the people who take balance oil do exactly that. And you can't, sadly, and it is tragic, by the way, you can't guarantee that right now from fish for a whole host of reasons. So we're at a point whereby balance oil is food-like function, and you're dead right in what you've said in the difference between a standard fish oil and supplements and stuff. But we are at a point now where if you're looking at efficacy and you want to change those levels so that you could really amplify your health status, then actually balance oil, hands down, is going to get you there faster. And to me, I still eat fatty fish. I don't eat a lot of red meat. I eat some white meat and largely fish. But I still take balance oil every day. And I check my status every 4 months. And it's not crazy high. It's exactly where I need it to be.
I think that's what's so important is so many people have said, well, I do eat healthy. I do eat fish. Or I can see some people are asking, but we're vegan, so we should be better at this. And so, but that's why Zinzino is so unique is that we have the test. And like you said,
right.
it's you can find out where you're at. You want to be at least 8% omega-3. And I know for you, you're saying at least 8, at least 8.
Yeah,
It could be higher.
Well, 10 is the sweet spot, I think. 10, and if you look at the literature, it's not just me saying that, you know, but if you look at the literature, 10 is the sweet spot.
But that's kind of crazy that our body should be 10% omega-3, and yet if it's not something that we're really focusing on, that just makes sense. It's like if you're baking a cake and you take out something that's 10% of the cake, it's not going to be the same cake. So
exactly. But like we're really focused here, and this happens all the time when we discuss balance oil. We're really focused on the omega-3, and the omega-3 is really important. But let's not forget the polyphenol. You know, let's really not forget that, because that's just as important. If you think of the life cycle of the omega-3 now in balance oil, well, it's encapsulated in this high phytonutrient, which will oxidize before the fish. Great. Perfect. Exactly what we want. So it's preserving the fish oil. When you consume it, it's protected from what we call the first pass, so it goes through the stomach. The olive oil itself is it's a higher order prebiotic. So the stomach goes, brilliant. We've got this prebiotic phytonutrient. Let's consume lots of that. And then what's happening is that the omega-3 is given a really good ride so that it can activate within the cell. And it's really, really elegant, and it's really, really simple, and it makes complete sense from a logical point of view. It's backed by a ton of research and science from all around the world. You know, be aware of that. And the reality is that if you were to say to any doctor, nutritionist anywhere in the world, should I eat more fatty fish? They go, yes. Should I consume more extra virgin olive oil? Yes. And then you go, brilliant. There you go. Take that every day. And you cover in both places. You've done it. It's almost to the extent you could say, well, I'm taking my olive oil every day. It just also happens to have a proprietary blend of omega-3, DHA, and EPA contained within it. That's what I'm doing. And it works. I mean, it's phenomenal how well it works. And for us, when we launched our collagen product, it was based off the notion that anyone we talk to is going to start their anti-aging, their skincare routine with balance oil, because that really is going to encourage the cells and every cell, the skin cells.
I can say that myself. I mean, when I started Balance, we didn't talk anti-aging when I started Balance Oil. I started this years, 10, 12 years ago, I think I started on Balance Oil. And it wasn't until many years down the road where people started to say every time I was meeting them or going to a class reunion, they're like, are you aging backwards? What is going on with you? What is happening? And I could tell the difference. And because my score from the start was 34.4 to 1. I was Denmark's highest number for, I think, 5 years before somebody else came up and beat me to it. And the average in the US here at 25 to 1. So getting that number down, knowing that was a huge benefit for me because I knew what it did for my health, but I did not know what it would be doing for my skin. So it has made a huge difference for that.
But I think a lot of people, because I think a lot of people have a similar experience, not maybe on the score, but on the kind of where they position it in their mind as to what it does. And part of that is our responsibility because of what we've discussed about and the context we've put it in traditionally. And then a part of that is the fact that there's just that general level of awareness and understanding of the role nutrients play. And so we tend to, particularly if I put my real health agenda back head on, we always talk about the alarming things, so we talk about cardiovascular protection and we talk about neurological protection and really what people like me consider the simple things, which is the color, the tone, the texture of your skin. We often not the ones to comment on it, and we should, of course we should, because it's really important. And in fact, when we started to put the communication together for Collagen, I was really insistent that we did talk about this, like a lot of people, skin from within, but really from the context that, it's about that cellular change. And that really when that is achieved, when you address the gut, when you address the gut skin axis, well, what you get is better skin. It's more resilient. It's more like, it's more elastic, it's more rebound, it's better structure. But because everything else that supports it has been addressed, so it's not patching it up and pasting it over. You're literally, is it anti-aging? You look the age you should be. That's where I like to put it. You know what I mean? Because just bear with me for a moment. When I was just looking at physiology and exercise physiology, and this might surprise a few people, but there is very little difference from the age of 21 to approximately 59 in what the body's capable of. And then we start to see some observed changes. But with regards to your strength, your endurance, your flexibility, the difference is use it or lose it. That's the difference. And so then when you start to think about things like anti-aging and how you can nurture that through food, again, it's accounting for those things that will be lost if you're not proactive. Collagen will be lost. Omega-3 is already at a compromise. So let's start to address that. Let's not wait. Let's start to address it and top it back up.
Okay, so now that we've talked about the first major thing in regards to omega-3s and what we're really doing with that with BalanceOil and how that's so much different and effective, and you can test it to check it. Yeah. I'm happy that I have went down to 2.8. So I know that makes a huge difference. So let's talk about this topic. Let's talk about collagen and what is it that has changed now? What is it? Why is this so important? You said it's the glue that holds everything together. And yet what is Zinzino's collagen doing that other people have not thought of?
Well, we maxed out. And this is whereby if you get someone, this is true of us, the notion of let's develop a collagen product landed with me as the head of the product team. It was kind of right, Carl, this is what we'd like. What do you think? What would make a good collagen product? And so to date, my history with collagen was all around sport and activity and making sure that joint health was optimized through collagen and looking at it as a part of effective recovery strategy. Particularly one of my areas of expertise was rehabilitation for athletes who've been injured. And so I would be working with them in the gym, but also looking at the dietary needs. And so the brief was collagen, and we want the skin to look great. So that was the simple brief. So I thought, okay, so first of all, if we're going to build off surely we're going to build off the BalanceOil, because that's the first step in making the skin great because of everything we've discussed so far. So I thought, right, well, if I want your skin to be great, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to address the gut, because the gut is the center of the human universe. I want to make sure that is in a position where its absorptive properties are sufficient, that we don't have any unwanted, unregulated levels of like what we call inflammation. And then I want to make sure that that's a primed environment to take on a sufficient amount of collagen for sure, but also its counterpart, which is the hyaluronic acid. And so I started to look around the research on hyaluronic acid, its fluid, its water retaining properties, the fact that, again, it's something that we have and we lose as we age, what rate at which we lose it. collagen specific types, not only the type within us, but when we look at the diet, where's the most synergistic forms? So which is the one that's most like the collagen that we have? And so when I looked at other products and I looked at guidelines and things that were telling me how much a person should take, I recognized that so many people had done one or the other, and they were making claims about things that just didn't match with the research. So people were making a standalone hyaluronic acid product with some vitamin C, and it'd have 80 milligrams in, and they go packed with hyaluronic acid, good for the skin. And that's not a bad dose by any measure. And then you'd see a separate product that was saying collagen, 5 grams, high dose, and that's not a bad dose either. And again, with some vitamin C. But what I couldn't understand is why no one had gone, well, let's really top out. Let's really top out. Let's get as much collagen and as much hyaluronic acid into the same product, because they have a synergy, they're counterparts when you look at you start to look at matrix and matrices. Let's make sure we get enough into the gut from a pre-postbiotic point of view to nurture that part of the system. Let's get some actives in there. We definitely want vitamin C. And so I started to work with a real specialist in this area who I recruited because I'd known him for some time. And I said, I want to create a product that tastes great, but that really maxes out on this so that we can do this on top of the health protocol. So you're already taking your BalanceOil, you're taking your xenobiotic, you've got Extend, so you're covering all these nutrient needs. And I want to hit this like a collagen missile. I want people to have this big hit of collagen, hyaluronic acid, really address the gut so that they can get a real meaningful response. And then we started to work on it. And I started to get the pushback because I was trying to put more and more hyaluronic acid in. And they said, you can't do that because it turns the product into like cement. So we had to get to 120, and then we got it up to 8 grams. And then I wanted MSC certified because I wanted it to be the most ethically, sustainably sourced fish in the world. I wanted to know where the fish came from. And I knew we needed fish, and we needed type 1 and 3 because they were the ones that had the most direct impact on the architecture of skin and vessels. So I really wanted this product to be a targeted approach to a set outcome. And I mean, since we launched it, the results from around the world, the testimonies, the responses, I've even had phone calls genuinely of other collagen product manufacturers going, I can't believe what you did. This is incredible. Independently, people saying this is without doubt the single best collagen product in the world. There's nothing even close to it. So
that's powerful. That is powerful. And I totally agree. And I want to just tie something together here. You said, so taking that health protocol, because getting into balance is number one. And of course, getting the right vitamins and nutrients into your system, all of that in our fantastic Extend product, which is everything you need. But the gut health, because you've mentioned it both with the collagen, you've mentioned it with the BalanceOil, but gut health is super important in regards to living your best life and getting the best body too. Gut health is that important, right?
Absolutely everything. Gut health is gut. The human gut is the center of human health. And there were really clever people comment on this 2,000 years ago. And all of our research inquiries to date have just proven that right. The gut is the center of human health. And if you really make decisions based on nurturing your gut, you are moving exactly in the right way when it comes to your nutritional health. And
so right now we can take that health protocol, because I think everybody who understood Zinzino, if you understand what Zinzino is doing, everybody should be taking that health protocol. So getting into balance is part of it, getting those vitamins and minerals, but the xenobiotic, which is that's a miracle product. I think Dr. Paul talks about that. That is absolutely incredible, of really healing your gut. Putting that in.
I can talk about these things objectively because I didn't formulate them. They pre-exist me. And I promise you now, Xenobiotic is literally a genius product. I did a whole talk about this recently. I forget where in the world I was, but they asked me to focus on it. And so I dug into it a little bit deeper than I had done for a while. But when you look at the interaction of the beta glucan when you look at that broad spread of dietary fibers, because the best way I can describe this and what sets xenobiotic apart, well, there's two things. So bear with me a moment, people. Imagine now you've all invited friends and family to your house for a meal, and they're all sat around the table, okay? And you're going to produce a meal for everybody. But everybody around the table has different dietary needs and dietary preferences. And so Uncle Bob is a vegan, and Auntie Sue will only eat fish, and your mother will only eat white meat. And so imagine this. There's a whole host of needs around the table. So when you create a dietary fiber product that is one type of dietary fiber, you only feed Uncle Bob, because that dietary fiber doesn't suit all the other type. What I want you to imagine now is all these bacteria and these microbes in the gut. It doesn't feed them. So they just let it go past. And this creates imbalances. And so what you have is, when you have like a prebiotic blend, as we do, you make sure that the dietary needs of all those people around the table, all those different types of colonies of species of microbes, of bacteria, they all get fed. And then you have the magic part, which is the beta glucan 1316. And why? Well, one, it functions like a prebiotic, but two, those beta glucans, they stimulate the immune system. They just give it a little wake up. There's no inflammation, doesn't cause any inflammation, but it stimulates the immune system. And when the immune system is stimulated and prompted, what does it do? It starts a biochemical conversation that draws down nutrients. So when you have more circulating nutrients, as provided by Extend, as provided by Xenobiotic, and even your BalanceOil, and you shake up the immune system a little bit, you send a biochemical message all around the system that says, hey, draw down nutrients. You need vitamins, you need minerals, you need proteins, you need carbohydrates, you need fats, because we're having this conversation. But the best part is there's no inflammation. So you get this big domino ripple effect of the immune system, encourages the body to uptake all these things you've consumed, and puts them to really good use. It's so clever. I mean, and Extend falls into the same category. It's a simple thing, but genius always is simple. It's just that extra bit of thought, isn't it? And I'm really happy to talk about them, and I'm proud to talk about them as a representative of Zinzino, but I didn't come up with them. I wish I did. I am speaking objectively about them.
Okay.
And I just, before we go on, I want to correct you on something, Carla. I'd never joined Zinzino because of BalanceOil. I was really impressed. I was blown away, and it caught my attention. I joined Zinzino because when I saw the intelligence they had applied to their multivitamin Extend, I said to myself, if this company will do that, this is a company who can achieve anything in the health space. And that's the real reason why I joined.
Just gave me chills. It just gave me chills. That health protocol and collagen now. So in regards to, you can take it all together. Can you take too much of this? Because how many people are writing here? Can we take it every day? Can you take too much of it? Because, and is it for everybody? Is it absolutely for everybody?
So there's a lot of questions there. Let's start with is it for everyone? No. If you have a fish intolerance, if you have a fish allergy, it's a fish protein, so you cannot take it. Okay, it's a fish protein, so do not take it. It would not be safe for you to take it, so don't take it. Next question, can you take it every day? Absolutely. Of course you can. You can take that product safely every single day. I know it's 8 grams, which is above what you'll see a lot of other people doing and recommending. Remember, a lot of people are recommending lower because that's what they provide. 8 grams per day, every day is completely safe. Okay, you're going to be absolutely safe and fine. It's going to be effective. So you can for that. Now there is a small percentage of people, and in fact, I am one of them. So I'm speaking on behalf of myself here. That when you take a collagen product daily, because it's contributing towards the rigidity of tendons, ligaments, skin. It's architectural. You might get a little bit of a thickening around some of the what's the word I'm looking for? Tendon. And I get a little bit of that on this thumb if I take it too much. And so for me, I take it 10 days of the month, and that's it. I take it 10 days of the month, and that's it. And I experimented. And when I take it every day, I get this tiny little click in my thumb, and people might get it in the toe, they might get it somewhere else. But we're a small group. We are a small percentage. And actually, there's nothing wrong. All it is it's doing its job. And at some point, you might have strained that tendon or that ligament, and it's thickening it up a little bit, and it'll always thicken around the site that's been disturbed, and you're just getting a little bit of an awareness of it. So for me, that's another reason why I think the 10-day is great if you like me and that's what you experience. But the only other people who should be cautious when taking it are people with a fish intolerance. But everyone else can take it.
Just to be clear, because someone said, "Wait, I thought it didn't have fish protein," but the balance oil isn't the fish protein. It is the collagen.
No. Balance oil is fine.
Yeah.
Collagen. We're talking about those collagen peptides.
Keep it clear.
Yeah.
So I know that this the collagen has had incredible results. People have talked about it with their hands, with their face, with the fine lines, crepey skin. It's just been, but it's also in regards to joint health. I mean, when you started in regards to you've done sports and nutrition and all of that type things, you would recommend this for everybody, the health protocol and the collagen, for them to really be, I guess, having their body work optimally. Could we say it like that?
Absolutely. I mean, typically you target type 2 collagen for cartilage. But remember, there's more to a joint than cartilage. So, there's tendons and there's ligaments, and also what we call the tensile property of the muscle has a huge influence on the joint. And so it has a part to play in protein, in muscle metabolism. It's a great. I mean, I'm not an athlete, not anymore, but even I use my collagen as part of my recovery drink. So when I've got 1 day left. I've just come off my 10 days of collagen for this month, and I take it straight after training. So I'll come back after a run or a gym session, and I take my lean shake, and I'll have my collagen shot then. So it's great for sport because it's architectural. And think about it this way: it's not just skin, it's not just the impact on the gut, but think of the architecture of your blood vessels, of your capillaries. What we're talking about are matrices that actually make these more robust, more resilient, more elastic. And so you're literally laying down the foundations for the architecture of the system to be in better shape. It's incredible. Collagen is, God, dare I say it, it is essential. Of course it is. We lose it as we age. And so common sense, if nothing else, says, well, put it back in. You're losing this. It's an inevitable consequence of aging. So let's put the stuff back in. But profound, anywhere where there's any type of tissue repair requirement, collagen is fantastic.
Okay, so there's a couple of questions here before we get going here because we gotta round this off. Somebody is asking if they don't have a stomach, is it being all of this is being okay into the gut, that we're still getting things out, the process is still coming in through the intestines?
I mean, whenever anyone has a pathology and a medical thing, the first thing you need to do is always speak to your physician, your doctor, whatever it is. But then when and actually in that instance, you need to look at, it's more about digestive processes and the sequence that goes through. But for sure, what we're talking about are nutritional elements that are functional and active within the gut. So you look at regulation, you look at absorption and uptake, and so they are positive for health. But I don't know what medication you're on. I don't know what processes you're on. So always, always, always speak with your physician, your GP, explain to them what you intend to do, and make sure that it's compatible. Yeah.
And then the last question some people were asking is in regards to how young we should be giving different things to, even if it's the health protocol or collagen. Is there a certain age area that's like hitting the best?
Health protocol, everyone. Soon as they can As soon as they can take solids, get your children onto health protocol, for sure. It made me laugh when you mentioned collagen though, because I think I've shared this story. When I was working on it, my daughter came into my office and I had the screen up and I was talking about 21 plus and people age 40. And she said, she read the slide and she went, hold on. If you know this is going to go, why wouldn't you start taking it at my age? Why wouldn't you start now? And I was like, well, really, it's, once you reach 21, it's going to start to go. And my daughter, who was 11 at the time, was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why can't I just start taking it now? So that I can delay this. It's safe. It's safe for children to take. Of course it is. I wouldn't encourage, I don't think it's a necessity when you're that kind of age at all. I've just seen someone in there now saying their 17-year-old daughter. Yeah, that's really common sense and that's fine. That's somebody who's approaching full maturation, probably hopefully quite active. So there's other benefits to be had from the collagen at that point. I'm not going to start giving it to my now nearly 12-year-old daughter. But yeah, late teens, absolutely. Makes sense. We should be encouraging active lifestyles and recognizing that within a few years we're going to hit full maturation. So yeah, absolutely.
So if we've got the omega-3 that you had mentioned to the start, and we talked about the collagen, how important that is, and how different both the Zinzino products are. Now you did say exercising and enough water. Is there anything else, Dr. Colin, that you would say that what is it you're doing? Anything else that is going to make our life or our body working even more optimal?
Well, yeah, but we've already covered it really because
Okay.
we've discussed extend, we've discussed prebiotic fibers. I mean, I love the health protocol because when you start to look at all the challenges we face with regards to the modern diet, and you go, well, what's the other option to that? What can we do about it? Because you have to get real. And I say this again, I want you all to eat fresh food, whole food. I want you to explore the world of flavors through the best quality foods you can access and afford. But then we have to get real. 65 to 80% of the average modern diet is processed and ultra processed, foods. And so they're nutritionally poor, they're calorifically high, they have things in them that literally aggravate the system. There's a whole ton of catalog of catastrophe. And we go, right, well, how do we offset that? And it's by making sure we have enough nutrients. Remember at the start, I said you are what you eat. You're literally made of these things. So vitamins, A, B, C, D, all the way through, minerals, proteins, fats, carbohydrates, they lay down the matter of what you are. And so is it like, ask yourself this now, people. Is it with any surprise that when people are deficient in these things, the structure itself ages prematurely because there's not enough of what is required to be there in order for it to be optimized as it should. So, from a nutritional point of view, this single, really, I've not seen anything that even comes close. And I look regularly, it's part of my job to do so. The single most powerful nutritional anti-aging thing you can do is that health protocol. BalanceOil every day, non-negotiable. It's a simple habit. Take your xenobiotic. And I'm sure someone will have commented saying, when it takes xenobiotic, it can be a lot on the gut. Of course it is. Because if there's been an absence of those fibers, which is true in most instances, you've got to build up a tolerance to them. You've got to introduce them because you're feeding the fish, and the fish haven't been fed for a long time. So you've got to slowly build that up. And then you've got to make sure that there is a sufficient amount of vitamins and minerals. So if you go from BalanceOil to xenobiotic to extend every single day, and then you go, right, now I'm going to build in a strategy around this collagen and how I'm going to use that, whether it's 10 days every day, if you alternate, so you take it one day, miss a day, take it the next day. I know people do that. I've been having great results. Take it every day. You're addressing those collagen needs. From a nutritional point of view, and then make sure you drink about 8 glasses of water per day, you are ahead of 89% of the world's population.
Okay, so Dr. Colin, last question before we go. If we got the world to be taking the health protocol and this collagen, what would you see as a difference in the world? What would you
What would you see? You'd see far more calm people. You would see far more optimistic people. You would see people living better and enjoying their lives. And they would come to realize what feeling good is and how important that is. And they'd want to share that with other people. They would move more. They would rely on services less. Their hormones and their emotions would be less of a victim to all these things that go around, whether it's a bad news item or a chocolate bar that is prompting your dopamine. We would have a calmer, far more resilient, kinder society on a global scale. We'd make decisions that were on better terms for each other. Genuinely, like people talk about lots of different things. The key to a better world and a better life for everyone is for us all to live better. And it all starts with us taking care of our own health and the health of those people that we love around us.
And that's why it is the Zinzino mission is getting out there and letting more people know what Zinzino has to offer and working our way up to getting to 1 million this year and getting up to our 100 million by 2050, because we are on that mission to really make a huge difference in the world. Dr. Colin, I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing your knowledge. It is always so fun just to hear you, not only just for your fun accent, but just because of all the knowledge that you give. Thank you for doing that. And I am going to let people unmute and also say thank you. So appreciate you, Dr. Colin.
Thank you all. Thank you all for being here and giving me the time to speak. And
Thank you, Dr. Fox.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Colin.
Thank you, Dr. Leon. Thank you.
Thank you,
Colin.
Colin.
Today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, and see you next month in Finland.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Colin.
Thank you.
Thank you from London, Australia.
Thank you, Dr. Colin.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much, and Carla as well.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for this.
Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Colin. You're amazing.